let's start with the first question about what do I mean by being aware of being aware. So if I were to ask you the question, are you aware of your thoughts right now? What would you say?
Right now I'm not having any thought, I'm just listening to you.
Fair
yes,
enough.
but normally, yes.
Okay, so let me ask you another question. Are you aware of the sound of my voice? Of course, I have to keep talking for you to be aware of the sound. You're okay, perfect. Are you aware of these flowers?
Yes, I can see them.
Yeah. Are you aware of the sensation at the soles of your feet?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware of the trees behind you?
No.
Turn
I
around.
would have to turn around and...
Are you aware of them when you turn around?
Yes.
Okay. So each time I ask you this question, first, are you aware of my voice? You direct your attention to my voice. And as a result of being aware of my voice, you say yes. Then I ask you about the flowers. You move your attention from my voice to the flowers. I then ask you, are you aware of the sensation at the soles of your feet? You take your attention off the flowers and you, as it were, shine your attention on the tingling at the soles of your feet. And then when I ask you, are you aware of the trees behind you? You have to turn around and you shine your attention in that direction. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
Am I speaking
Yes.
your experience? Okay, so now, if I were to ask you the question, not are you aware of A, B, or C, but simply, are you aware? What would you say?
Yeah, I'm here.
No, not are you here, are you aware?
Yes, I'm aware.
Okay. Now, what do you do with your attention to come up with that answer? All the previous questions, every time I asked you, are you aware of this object? You had to shine your attention on that object. And it was only because you shone your attention on that object that you said yes. When I first asked you if you were aware of the trees, you said no. But then you turned around and you shone your attention on the trees. And as a result of that experience, you said yes. Now, I asked you the question, are you aware? You paused and you said yes. What did you do with your attention in that pause?
I went in...
Where did you go?
Something somewhat similar, interesting. Because when you asked me, are you aware of the sensation of your sole of your feet? It was a going in sensation.
You go, as it were, inside the body. You go to an experience that seems to be inside, as opposed to the trees which seem to be outside.
Yeah.
But when you go inside the body, go now inside the body. Close your eyes and explore with your attention the experience of the inside of the body. All that's there is sensation. Yeah? It's
Right.
just sensation. There's nothing else there apart from sensation. Yes?
Right.
Now, if you explore your mind, all that you find there are thoughts and images. Yes?
Yeah.
So where do you go to find the experience of being aware? You don't go into the body. You don't go into the mind. You've already agreed all there is to the body is sensation. All there is to the mind is thought and perception. Yet the experience of being aware is an experience. You don't believe now that you are aware. It is your experience. Yes? Now,
Yes.
where do you go to find that experience? What do you do with your attention?
Open it?
Yes, in other words, it's the opposite of a focusing of the attention. It's actually a defocusing of the attention.
Mm-hmm.
Because the experience of being aware is not an object that you can direct your attention towards. Yes?
Right.
But nevertheless, so it is a non-objective experience. You cannot deny the experience of being aware. It is an experience. but it has no objective qualities. Yes?
Right.
Now, if I were to ask you, what is it that experiences being aware?
I guess I would have to say itself.
That's what I mean by the experience of being aware of being aware.
Ah.
Exactly right. What else could experience awareness other than awareness? Because only awareness is aware. The body is not aware. Only awareness is aware. So what is it that could have the experience of being aware or awareness? Only itself. Now, awareness doesn't have to move away from itself in order to know the experience of being aware. It needs to move away from itself to shine on the tree, or the flower, or the sensation, or the thought. It has to rise as attention. Attention means to stretch towards. Attention stretches itself towards the apparent object. But to know itself, it doesn't have to rise. It doesn't have to go anywhere. Attention doesn't need to rise. Attention only needs to rise to know an object. To know itself, awareness need only be itself. So the way to know awareness is simply to be knowingly awareness. And the reason, to go on to your second question, the reason that you feel there is a wall, a blank wall that is covering awareness, it is because you are trying to direct your attention towards it. The closest you can get, attention can get, to attending to awareness is to attend to a blank state. A blank state is an object. So there is a blank state which is a state of the finite mind. And it mimics the true emptiness of awareness. Now we can direct our attention towards a blank state. And this is often misunderstood as meditation. Meditation is not the direction of the attention towards a blank state. It is the sinking of attention into the emptiness of its source. The reason you feel there is this barrier is because you are trying to find awareness with attention. Awareness can never become the object of awareness can never become the object of attention. It is its subject or its source. So it is a relaxation of the attention, not a directing of the attention. So if we ask, how can I get there? How do I do it? There is no how to. If I were to ask you to stand up, no, I'm not asking you to do this, but if I were to ask you to stand up and say, how could you take a step towards yourself? Try to take a step towards yourself. How would you do that? How would you take a step towards yourself? If I said, take a step towards these flowers, you would know what to do. You could do that. You could practice that. You could walk. Or if I said, take a step towards the trees, you could practice it. You could turn around and start walking. The only thing you cannot walk towards is yourself. You can only walk towards something that is not yourself. So you, in this metaphor, is awareness. The only thing that awareness can attend to is not itself. And in order to know something that is not itself, it has to rise in the form of attention or mind. Then it directs itself towards the object. But it cannot attend to itself in the same way that you cannot walk towards yourself, because you are already standing in yourself as yourself. Awareness is already standing in itself as itself. There is no how to, because it's already there. There's only a how to go somewhere else. So any practice is a movement away. This is why I call it a non-practice. It is the cessation of the practice of rising as attention and directing awareness towards the object. It is a non-practice. However, if our attention is so accustomed to directing itself towards objects most of the time, then this directing of the attention will seem to us to be the natural state. So as a compassionate concession to one who is accustomed to attending most of the time to objects, the teaching says, okay, as a practice, direct your attention towards yourself. The teaching knows better. The teaching knows that you can't do that, but as a concession to it's like a horse that is galloping away from its stable. If you want the horse to go back to the stable, you don't just pull on the reins and turn it round. You very slowly turn it round. The horse thinks it's always galloping in the same direction. You turn it round without the horse realizing that it's being turned round. It's just, from its point of view, it's just galloping forwards. It doesn't realize after a while that it's galloping home. So it's a little bit the same. The teaching as a concession to the mind that is habituated to focusing on objects. The teaching says, practice self-inquiry, investigate your true nature, return your attention to its source. These are skillful means. But actually, when awareness is divested of its limitations, awareness realizes not only does it recognize itself, I'm caricaturing awareness now, but it says, oh, I've always been myself. I never truly left myself and became a finite mind. I was never truly limited. I never really left home. This is why in India they say they talk about the illusion of ignorance rather than ignorance. There is no awareness, never has to become a separate self in order to know itself. It never, in fact, ceases to be and know itself alone. So the reason I say that is if you feel that you have to practice this relaxation of the attention in its source, and for instance, as I said sometimes over the last few days, if you have to lovingly remind the attention that what it is looking for doesn't reside at its destiny, it resides at its source. These are concessions, compassionate concessions. They're ways of inviting, lovingly inviting the attention back to its source. When it gets back to its source, we realize, oh, attention actually never leaves awareness. But until that is clear, it is legitimate to talk about self-inquiry or self-investigation or self-abidance. It seems to be a practice from the point of view of a finite mind. And if it seems to be a practice, then we should practice it, but very lovingly. It's not a disciplined practice. It's a loving, think of it more as a loving cooperation. You're working lovingly with your attention, inviting it gently to come back to its home in the heart.